All right, chat. Do we talk about the other top 10 players in a positive light now? Because I feel like we don't do that ever. I thought it'd be a nice thing to do. Just once in a while. No. We're gonna do it. I'm gonna talk about what I like about the other players. Okay. Do I have to do Leffen, chat? I'm just playing, chat. I wouldn't do Leffen like that. But yeah, so pretty much what we're gonna do is we have 10 plus 1 top 10 players. And I figured I would go through and say one thing that I like about each person, either about how they compete or how they play, just as a nice thing to do. I'm not going to do myself because it's not the point of this. It's just something I would like to do for everyone else, just because I think it'd be nice. So I'll start with Leffen, the honorable mention, which is kind of hilarious that he won LACS with an honorable mention, but it also makes sense that he shouldn't have been ranked. So hilariously enough, we all know Leffen can be a bit of a complainer at times. Not that I've ever complained. I'd never complain. But I actually think he uses it in a really healthy way. So I think his mental in that regard is probably his biggest strength. Where if he doesn't like something, or if he's like, oh, I don't like this match, it's not that good, whatever, a lot of people will just be like, oh, I'll figure out. He's just like, nope, this is the best solution to it. I'm just switching. Fuck you. I'm playing the best character I can. I'm not dealing with it. Best example, Marth. He bitched about Marth. We know he didn't like Marth. And so instead of trying to figure out the matchup, which admittedly would have taken a lot of work, he just said, I'm going to go Sheik. And he also had a lot of foresight with that because instead of just using Sheik for Marth, he's like, well, Sheik's also really good because now I don't have to deal with Pikachu on FD. I could use it for Amsa if I feel like down the road. I can use it for Donkey Kong. When would he use it for Donkey Kong? Weird, right? He could use it for a lot of other places as well. So I think that was really good foresight on his part. And if you look at the way he plays like Guilty Gear, he doesn't stick with the character if he doesn't believe in it. He straight up says, no, this is bad. And to be fair, you have to have a certain level of analytical ability, I'll say, to do this properly, because some people look at the game and they don't quite understand it. So I think a combination of analytical intelligence, I'll say, plus his ability to just switch seamlessly between characters and learn things really, really quickly is an extreme strength for him. And I don't think many other people do it quite as well, if at all, anywhere near as well. So I think that's his biggest strength, in my opinion. And I actually really respect that part of his competition, even if I don't agree with all of the mental aspects about it. Number 10 is Aklo. I mean, I want to say good things about him, but just this just makes it hard, man, you know? I'd say the thing I like most about Aklo, which isn't going to be ground check to anyone, is niche technical things he's pretty much just the best in the world in. It's very interesting how consistent he is technically, especially at things that are just really freaking hard. But he's able to do with pretty good consistency, and he doesn't mess up any of the stuff that's considered traditionally pretty difficult in clutch situations, which I think is why he's such a clutch player. I do think he is considered very clutch, and rightfully so, because he very rarely is going to mess up very difficult techniques over and over again on last stock, and most people are not ready to deal with it on last stock. I think most players, if you're going to try a perfect way shot out of shield, or try to hit 5 different mid-short and side B perfect spacing on last stock, they're gonna hedge their bets you're gonna miss at least once or twice, and he pretty much just doesn't. That's, in my opinion, his biggest strength is just his technical consistency. I think it's extremely helpful, and even with his Link, you see it. He's just remarkably consistent with pretty much all of his technical abilities, and to me, he's kind of the Fox that got the furthest just by tech skill and having like decent game plans and punish game. Not to say that he hasn't put a lot of thought into it, but he's kind of the ultimate version of that really heavy tech skill Fox. And now he didn't even do VOD analysis till this year. So that tells you how good he is at executing. I actually love Wizzy so much. I think Wizzy is just probably one of the most enjoyable players to watch. I think Moki put it pretty well. Moki watches a lot of other players, and he said he'll be like, yeah, like, okay, that makes sense. Or I could do that if I really watched or I really worked at it. And then he watches Wizzy. He's like, I don't think I could ever do that. I don't understand how this guy plays that way. And that's pretty much accurate. It sometimes also bites him in the ass, but I would say that Wizzy's ability to kind of visualize an end goal and not get broken up at any point along the way. So obviously you say, oh, he's really good at tech chasing. But the thing is, he's so rigid about it, and he's so unbelievably consistent at it every step along the way that it actually feels like he's probably the hardest to emulate player, in my opinion. Just because you'd have to play in a way that relies on pretty much perfect reaction points across the board everywhere. Maybe it's simple, and I do think Wizzy's play is simple, but God, is that difficult. It is actually so unbelievably difficult to know where you have to react perfectly at every point, And this includes when he's getting hit, which is why he gets crazy reversals, because he watches the opponent and he's like, oh, this hit's coming, and then he has some absolutely bonkers defensive play ready for you. So I think it's just the way he sets reaction points across the board is probably the most impressive of any player. I actually don't agree his DI is crazy, but his SDI is absolutely insane. He probably is the best SDI, and that's a Smash 64 thing, I'm sure. Is he still in chat? Do I have to do this right now? Can I come back to this later when he streams? No, but in all actuality, I'd say for Mango, there's two things to me that stands out. So I don't think Mango in his tech skill does anything super duper insane, but he never, ever, ever messes up anything that's simple. If he's playing well, he's probably, if I had a person to put a money on to hit a wave dash under pressure with Falco, just perfect wave dash, perfect distance, perfect spacing, no notches, no nothing else, I'd pretty much put all my money on Mango every single time. By extension, the most impressive part of that is that his Fox is also like that. And it's not easy to switch between 5 and 3 frame jump squat, as I've learned the hard way over and over again. And because he's so good at rhythm and timing mix-ups, even if he doesn't do anything else that's crazy, it's just enough with his Fox. And then his Falco is actually just really good. He's definitely a Falco main that has a really good Fox based off of timing and execution. I'll say it for you because I do think it's important to recognize it. Also, most impressive melee career for me. A lot of good things to say about him. Oh, Clutch God. So everyone talks about certain things. I'm gonna point something out. I think Age God is by far the best non-rest punish game of all the puffs. I don't think it's even close. Even if he falls short on some edge guards, I also think he's by far the best edge guarder. And I think because he doesn't always need to rely on rest, in a weird way, it makes his rests more scary on last stock, because you have to play around an entire player, whereas a lot of other puffs, you have to play around one thing on last stock, and that makes it very easy. We all love to meme about his tech skill on certain things he's quite bad at. I do think the fact that he is a little more versatile, which is hilarious because he feels like an incomplete player, but he is more versatile on that, makes him harder to play against on last stock. The Clutch God. I mean, I don't know what else I can say about this guy. He plays fucking Yoshi and wins majors. That's by itself absolutely crazy. If I had to pick one thing about Amsa that isn't standard, because I don't want to give the standard answers. Everyone knows he might be the most technical player. He's up there. I don't know if he's the most technical, but he's definitely up there. He is insanely technical. It is just the ethic. But I'll also say I think Amsa probably has the best competitive mindset of all of us right now. I find pretty consistently that he's the one that complains the least. And even like if you heard him speak in Japanese, it's really not. He's just not really complaining almost at all. He has a really healthy way of competing, and he looks at it in a really objective way that I think he believes he's really good, but he'll also detach his ego when he has to and come back with pretty a new group of answers. He's like the only, I'll say he's the only player where if you beat him for something, you are 100% certain that the next time you come back and you play him, that is going to be different. He's so unbelievably willing to reinvent something every time something goes wrong. But I respect the hell out of Amsa. I love Amsa. Except when he shit-talked me after Apex last year, 2 years ago. That was messed up. Plup is 5th. This dude's just a gamer, man. This dude's just a goddamn gamer. I'll say the thing that I find most impressive about Plup is he seems like the only Sheik that is willing to force an aggressive mix-up over and over again. And that doesn't mean he runs at you, but it means he's willing to consistently take space to get close to you to force some kind of scrap. And most Sheiks are very timid about that, or very scared to do that because they don't want to get blown up with the scrap. He forces a situation over and over again. He forces you to respond to it, and he's really good at reacting and winning in those spots. But yeah, this guy at his core is just a gamer. Probably the most gamer that we have, and he's insane at it. So I would say the best thing that I can feel that Moki does is Moki in Advantage State might be the best player at finding weird timings that a player is weak in and just instantly blowing you up for it. And it's bizarre. It feels like he's 90 to 80% success rate in reads in those spots. And there should never be any spot you're 90 to 80% success rate in. But he's really good at finding those spots. And then, of course, because of his combo, he just takes it for an insane ride every time. Moki feels like the type of player where if you give up a spot or he gets an opening, you just lost pretty much 2 stocks. There are obviously a lot of other things he's really strong at, but I'm trying to find stuff that I think maybe isn't as talked about because it'd be really easy to make a video be like, Mango's the GOAT. Zane's edge cancels are crazy and his punish game is so refined, but it's like, yeah, everyone talks about that. I don't want to talk about that. You know what I mean? That's I think the most underappreciated thing I would say for this about Moki, for sure. Keep going. I feel like every player came in here just to hear what I have to say about them. and then they're just going to leave afterwards. So I've already said that Jake, I think, is the best at quote-unquote watching the screen, similar to Wizzy, but I think Jake has a better understanding of when he's watching the screen, if there's a mix-up being involved and not just a reaction point being given that you can react to. That, again, I could say, but that's pretty easy, and I had a good one for him. What did I have for him? I love his needles, and when he breastfed that baby. Huh? Did I miss something? The thing I'll say about Jake, I think of all the players, he's the best at not throwing out almost anything under panic. But in terms of his recovery, the way he gets down, you're never going to see him throw out like a really bad aerial. You're never going to see him try to overextend on some kind of recovery. He is very deliberate and has a really good ability to pretty much stay extremely calm. If you are also not calm at any point, he will blow you up for it instantly. So I like the fact that Jake is able to pretty much resist urges to throw out panic options, which probably comes from, unironically, like his lifestyle, meditation, a lot of that. That's probably why he's so good at it. Or at least he's just innately like that and has worked on it. So I like that he's able to keep an even keel. Most players you see, it's last stock, you're like, oh, it's going to get scrappy, it's going to get sloppy. And you don't really see that as much with him. Like, of course, everyone chokes, everyone gets a little sloppy. And I know some people say it's Sheik, so it's easier. But listen, if I'm Sheik and I'm above a Fox, I'm going to throw out an aerial coming down the last stock. I'm not trying to get sharded, dude. That shit's scary. And Jake will just very calmly fall down, no aerial, wave land off, perfect 0 degree off the platform, back to neutral, and you're like, well, there goes my shark. And now you're scared because you're like, how the hell does this guy just do that under so much pressure? So I would say that's the most underappreciated thing I could think about Jake. And the last one we'll do is Mr. Zane. I've said this before. There is no player that I respect as much as this guy. I am just really fucking happy that I've been able to play him as much as I have. I feel really fortunate. I could talk about his play, but I think mentally I respect him more than any one thing about his play. And what I mean about that is it's hard to take a heartbreaking loss on the chin, come back next time, and say, nope, I'm better this time. That's really difficult. And I think he's by far the best player at taking a really devastating loss, having something bad happen to him. He gets knocked down a peg, and then he's scarier, right? I feel like a lot of people, you break them, and then you're like, all right, you're going to go through the spiral, you're going to go down for a little bit, I'm not going to deal with it anymore. But you break him, you knock him off his pedestal, and the next time he comes back, and he has reinvented everything, his mental is 10 times better, he's not scared. He's just like, nope, I'm taking this back. I'm better than you. I don't care. And that to me is really impressive. Zane almost gains confidence from him somehow. And that's not something I've ever seen from another player. He'll like lose and then he's like, nope, I'm going back. I'm redoing this. And then he gets 10 times more confident. You pretty much know the next time you play him, you're going to have a really rough time. And I just don't think I've ever seen that from a competitor before. So I've always really respected that about him. So yeah, I respect the hell out of him. As a competitor, I'm just thrilled that he's around, and that's pretty much my segment. Also, I'll say everyone's been a great competitor recently. I know I've had some complaints about some people, but I think everyone's getting so much better about it. But yeah, I just wanted to share some positivity. I feel like Melee's been in a weird spot recently, and I wanted to just say some nice things about the people that we compete with because I don't know, I just thought it'd be a nice thing to do. That's all. I also want to share different perspectives on the players because I feel like we have the same things peddled over and over again. And I'd like people to pay attention to different things about the players because there's so much what makes all these players really good. And I think it's almost criminal that people aren't appreciated as much.